I'm Simona Leroy. I'm a French expert in child education and the author of the PEAF method, the first step method for parents and educators to overcome children's fears. Thank you for buying this course and for answering my invitation to discover new ways to unlock and develop your child's potential, his intelligence, his creativity, his aptitude and talents. In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 strategies that match with parents' role. Something practical, easy to apply, and highly effective. These strategies will enable you to create a supporting environment, the perfect ground on which your child's potential can occur and rapidly bloom. I chose to talk to you about environmental factors because this is the field in which parents have the most important contribution. On the other hand, I choose to talk to you about environmental factors because creating the right environment is the basis of any quickly and healthy development of your child's potential. In tools, you have the list of these 10 strategies and the PowerPoint of this course. You can print it and use it as you wish. And now, let's move to the heart of our subject and let's discover 10 strategies to unlock and develop your child's potential, his intelligence, aptitude, and talents. First of all, let's establish what we mean by child's potential. What is behind this term? What is behind this concept? When we talk about child's potential, we talk about his intelligence, aptitudes, and talents. Aptitudes and talents refer to all innate qualities, to all unlearned abilities. For example, aptitude to communicate with animals, aptitude to observe details, aptitude for group functioning. The talent is an aptitude situated at a higher level. The definition of intelligence varied during human history. For a long time, it was considered that intelligence is only one single and general ability, and it can be resumed in 3 verbs: to judge well, to comprehend well, to reason well. Today we have 2 definitions that emerge from 2 large blocks of psychologists. According to the first definition, intelligence is the ability to reason, plan, solve problems, think abstractly, comprehend complex ideas, learn quickly, and learn from experience. In other terms, intelligence is a broader and deeper capability for comprehending and acting. The second definition is attached to Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. According to this theory, there is not just one intelligence, but 8. Verbal, linguistic, logical, mathematical, musical, visual, spatial, body, kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, existential. According to this theory, each child is very strong in 1 or 2 intelligences, medium in a few, and perhaps very weak in 1 or 2. I use both definitions of intelligence. From my point of view, they are complementary. I think Gardner's theory is more useful for parents because it is more specific, more focused on what parents should observe. It highlights the various manifestations of intelligence and enhances the capacity of parents to build and apply strategies and methods adapted to their child's needs. And now, let's have a quick look at how intelligence, aptitudes, and talents occur and develop. Heredity and genetics influence the way the brain is neurologically wired, shaped. Heredity and genetics are contributing factors that determine the strongest type of intelligence, aptitude, or talent. Heredity and genetics are important factors, but not the only ones. The brain is not a static structure, but an open dynamic system that can continue to develop and change in response to repeated stimulation. Early experiences can enhance or diminish the inborn potential. Environment and education also represent a contribution and play a key role in the growth and the development of a child's brain. So, in conclusion, heredity is important for a smart child, but heredity is not enough. As a parent, you have already provided to your child something very important, a good heredity. Now we will focus our attention on another important factor, creating the best environment, the kind of environment that will stimulate and facilitate the harmonious development of your child's potential. So, what is the supporting environment? A child's environment is like an invisible bubble that surrounds him, starting with his bed, his toys, and continuing with the love and attentions he receives, the rules that he must comply with, the way his group defines good and bad. Everything is a part of a child's environment. To understand more easily, we will split up the child's environment into three components, which we will study separately: the cultural component, the material component, and the psychological component. So let's start by talking about the most visible component, the material part of a child's environment. If we listen to all this TV advertising, a good parent must provide to the child a golden house with infinitely many books, countless toys, expensive educational games, and the best computers, microscopes, and musical instruments. These adverts try to induce the idea that there is a very short and strong link between your child's happiness and intelligence and what he possesses. This idea is wrong and dangerous for the development of your child. Because when parents give everything to a child, the child has no time to desire and no time to imagine. The child has only time to consume. The best material environment to develop a child's potential is an environment which responds not only to the child's needs to consume, but also to explore, to practice, to imagine. So, like Leonard Cohen's songs, I advise you to forget your perfect offering. There is a crack on everything. That's how the lights get in. For example, if you offer your child a beautiful, colorful electric train, you stimulate his sense of aesthetics. You encourage him to develop certain talents, aptitudes, and skills linked to all the games that he can play with that train. If instead you offer to the child a Lego box, he will have to build the train. This will encourage him to develop much more aptitudes, talents, and skills. For example, the child will have to learn how to use and follow the instruction to construct a Lego train. The child will develop his capacity to manipulate small pieces of material. And if you give to the child a few cardboard boxes, first he will have to imagine the train, then he will have to build it. So it will stimulate many others of his talents and skills. And above all, it will stimulate the child's imagination. Of course, it is important for the child to have some nice toys, but it is also very important for him to play with raw materials such as packing box, pieces of wood, paper. Those materials which are not nice, not colorful, and just because of that can be nothing and anything at the same time. So our first strategy is offer your child a good balance between wonderful toys, games, books, and instruments, and raw materials such as cardboard boxes, pieces of wood, paper. Another important thing to know about your child is the fact that he needs to explore, to be exposed to a variety of ways of learning and to a variety of activities. Chess, dance, extracurricular activities, household activities, carrying younger brothers, composing a letter, mountain walking, reading, following of documentaries, participating in environmental activities, computer gaming, playing with other children. All these are different ways to learn. Reading, watching TV, practicing, participating to competitions, explaining things, permit to learn and to improve talents and skills. There does not exist a unique game, a primarily game, the game from which the child will learn everything. From each game, from each activity, your child learns different things. When your child plays with others, he apparently does not learn anything. In fact, he learns and tests the rules of communication. When the child deals with younger brothers or sisters, he learns how to adjust informations, games to his brothers and sisters' capabilities. The exposure to different ways of learning allows the child, on one hand, to bring to light some latent aptitudes and talents which until then had nowhere to manifest. On the other hand, it allows the child to explore different ways of learning and enhancing his knowledge. This exposure to different ways of learning, to different activities, is very important also because it provides to the child different ways to express and materialize skills, talents, and intelligence. So propose your child many ways of learning and practicing. Activities which involve his mind and body. But be careful, excessive exposure, too many activities, a busy schedule could affect in a negative way your child's development. A poor exposure to activities or a longer exposure to only one activity, for example, computer games, could also affect in a negative way your child's development. In conclusion, our next strategy is expose your child to a variety of ways of learning and to a variety of activities. Let's talk now about the psychological environment. That environment which is invisible, but which can make the child feel comfortable, feel safe, and ready to learn. Or, in the contrary, feel stressed, unsafe, and only ready to run. This environment is created, is shaped with words and attitudes by parents and educators. In order to progress, the child needs to have each day new situations, new information that stimulate him to learn and to adapt. But this quantity must be digestible. The child must have the capacity to process that information. He must be able to do the effort needed to learn and to improve. In order to create this digestible quantity, we must look very closely at the child's routine. Many studies show that the daily schedule has a very strong impact in a child's ability to concentrate and learn. Too much routine, a schedule set in stone, is not good at all for learning. Too much routine diminishes and may even kill the child's ability to adapt to the new, to explore, to learn. A chaotic schedule without any routine, with too many new situations, affects the child's ability to assimilate, to memorize, to learn. Too many new things put the child in need. It is beyond his capabilities. Every day your child's schedule should include a certain routine, regular situations, and a small quantity of news. For example, a regular schedule around meals and sleep, regular visit to the library or museums, regular meetings with grandparents. Attention, regular does not mean rigidly fixed in stone. It means some strong but flexible landmarks. So, our next strategy is provide your child each day with a balanced schedule, the right routine, and the necessary news. We arrive now at an extremely important point: errors and punishments. Each child makes mistakes. It is normal. The child was not born wise. If he knew everything, he will not be a child. Errors occur when the child does not understand or does not know, when the child is not careful, or when the child has learned something wrong. From all his mistakes, he can and must learn. A punishment will tell to the child that what he has done is wrong, but a punishment will not teach the child what is right. And if the child has done that mistake because he didn't know something, the punishment will not increase his knowledge. So in this case, I don't think the punishment will help you to develop your child's potential. I've mentioned that some mistakes are caused by the fact that the child was not careful. In this case, a punishment could oblige the child to be more attentive, to focus more on the task. In this case, a gentle punishment may help you to develop the child's potential. Another case is when the child has done a mistake because he learned something wrong. This is easy to spot because the child systematically makes the same error. In that case, the punishment does not help you improve his ability, his skills. A punishment does not tell to the child why he is wrong. In that case, it's better to ask your child why he has doing that task that way, what he was thinking. This will help you identify the wrong brick, the wrong idea that he has, and to fix it. On the other hand, a child educated by punishment is likely to become a good, efficient, and meticulous performer. That's why in some technical fields, gentle punishment can be useful. But when you notice that the child has the skills and qualities that recommend him to become a good researcher, punishments are totally unsuitable. From an early age, this child must learn to question errors. He must learn to see errors not as some enemies to avoid to hide from parents, but as some windows that allow him to step into the secret world. If you notice that your child has some artistic abilities, punishments are also to be avoided. The child should feel free to express himself. When the child draws a green sun and a blue field, this is not an error, but a different way of seeing the world, an artistic way of seeing the world. If a child has the aptitude, talents to become a leader, punishment must be also avoided. The future leader must understand the causes of errors, and he has to imagine the steps that can allow avoidance, repairing those errors. In conclusion, there isn't a unique strategy for handling errors. So remember, the attitude towards errors depends on which form of intelligence, on which aptitudes and talents you want to develop. In order to find the appropriate attitude in your case, ask yourself every time, what is important for my child's development? If it is a technical mastery, you may use gentle punishments. But if you want to stimulate your child's abilities to solve problems, to be a leader, ask him to mend that mistake, to imagine something to prevent that mistake. If you want to stimulate your child's aptitudes, talents, and intelligence in a scientific field, teach him not to fear errors, but to use them to better understand this world. So our next strategy is use the attitude towards errors which matches the form of intelligence, aptitudes, and talents of your child that you want to develop. Another very important point linked to the psychological environment is rewards. Many parents ask me if they should stimulate their child's potential by using rewards. My answer is no. And this is a very important point. If you look carefully into the biographies of people who have succeeded in life, you will notice that each one speaks about passion. At the beginning of many successful companies, there is a person who has worked with passion and not for material interests. When a child enjoys what he achieved, when a child tells other children how hard it was for him to achieve that success, when a child sees his work with satisfaction, when a child works with passion, when all that happens, the child is a winner. When parents offer rewards, toys, candies, the child learns that the only joy comes from what he eats, from what he possesses. The child learns that he has to work to live for money, for objects. Of course, it is important for anyone to know the value of things. Of course, it is important for anyone to be able to appreciate in terms of money his work. But this is not the right time, neither the right moment for a child to learn this lesson. A child develops his potential when he really lives his passion, when he does something that he likes. The goal is not to get something, but to enjoy to do things that he likes. The child should take advantage of a great satisfaction that comes from what he has done, from what he has achieved. Parents can mark the success with words of praise. Parents can mark a success by offering a diploma, a trophy, or making a party. Everything that is offered to the child in order to mark the success, to make it memorable, is welcome. But children should not see in what parents may offer him as a mark of success an end in itself to his actions. The success should always be a happy feeling, not the taste of a candy. Don't replace that happy, incredible feeling with a sweet taste in the mouth. So our next strategy is teach your child to enjoy the happy feeling of working with passion and be successful. Another important point that comes in creating a good psychological environment is how you relate to your child's failures. It is very difficult for a child to see that he has failed. It is very difficult for him to see his low score, to hear the disapproval words of his teacher, and endure compassionate eyes or malicious jokes of other children. The outdoor world indicates to your child not holds barred where he was wrong. The child understands clearly and very painful that he was not good enough to win. It is not necessary for a parent to come up with another portion of painful truth. The external environment is the environment of competition, of confrontation. Home must be a place of rest, a recovery and reconstruction, a place of love. Every child, every winner needs a place to rest, to motivate himself, and to recalculate new strategies, new ways to win. The role of parents is to create an environment where every time the child is unsuccessful, he may find the best place to rest and remote. Nobody says to tell your child, "You are wrong." Oh, it's not serious. Not important. Nobody says to tell your child, "You are wrong, bravo." What I'm saying is that when your child is failed, help him come to you with confidence and tell you his problem. Encourage him. Do not focus on the question who is guilty, on what he has done wrong. Of course, it is important to analyze what happened, but it is more important to focus on how to move on, how to improve, how to do better next time. Be practical. Give him solutions. Give him confidence. Give him reasons to believe in himself and to continue that battle. So, our next strategy is, in time of failure, be a partner for your child. Help him to overcome this moment and find strategies that will allow him to win next time. The last aspect of the supporting environment that I would like to talk about is the cultural aspect. Every culture has its own codes, games, and rules. Each culture sets the borderline between good and bad. Each culture encourages certain manifestations of intelligence, certain aptitudes, and discourages others. Each culture determines what is quality and what is a default. Many of the cultural rules we have mastered seems normal and natural to us. For this reason, when parents and teachers identify the child's potential, they tend to note only the manifestation of intelligence, the aptitudes that are culturally speaking on the good side, only those which culturally speaking are qualities. Parents and educators tend to neglect all the manifestation of intelligence, all the aptitudes and skills demand, culturally speaking, in the negative side. I will give you one example so you can better understand. I attended a conference in Paris and a group of scientists presented the result of a research on children's creativity. Their conclusion was that in the kindergarten, girls are more creative than boys. By looking closer to their methods, I noticed that these scientists considered as manifestations of creativity only those located, culturally speaking, on the positive side. They did not take into account the manifestations of intelligence that are considered characteristics of bad guys. But many little boys tend to test themselves. They compete with each other to see who is the best. In this competition, a little boy uses all his forces to impress, to exceed, to annihilate the opponents. Some little boys will come up with new insults, others will invent punishments, revenge. Okay, this kind of behavior is not good for our society, but we cannot say that it lacks of creativity. And simply because their creativity is channeled towards a bad way, culturally speaking, we cannot conclude that the little boys are less creative. So when you are making the inventory of your child's potential, you must keep in mind the fact that some of his aptitudes, some manifestations of his intelligence are ranked in the bad side, culturally speaking. When your child makes bad things, even mistakes, remember that even there you can see a manifestation of intelligence, aptitude. It is very important to take into consideration those aptitudes and manifestations of intelligence, to channel those aptitudes into a positive way and encourage their development. So, in conclusion, related to the cultural environment, we have three strategies. Take into account all the manifestation of your child's intelligence, aptitudes, and talents. Channel everything that, culturally speaking, is negative into something positive. And last one, always look with caution to the cultural rules. We arrive at the end of this video. Now you have 10 strategies that will enable you to build a healthy and a supporting environment, the perfect ground that will stimulate the development of your child's potential. I'm counting on your creativity, on your knowledge to materialize these strategies in the form most suited to you. I wish you many joyful and happy moments with your smart and wise kid. Please feel free to contact me anytime for any additional question.